Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the co-festival director and program director for Something Wicked Film Festival and Events, and welcome to our podcast. Now, we're doing something a little different than what we normally do. If you are a regular listener to our podcast, normally we would pick one film out of the ether of horror films, and we'd discuss that film over the course of the next 30 minutes to 45 minutes. But for this special episode, we've decided to do something a little bit different. We decided to do a top 5 list between me and my special guest, who is Sarah Panazzo. She's back again, and she wants to discuss with me her top 5 most underrated zombie films. As part of our celebration or zombie appreciation month, we are doing this top 5 underrated zombie films special episode, just so that if you haven't seen all the zombie films out there, and you may listen to and hear a few that are new to you, and we hope that you will search them out and seek them out because they are very much worth watching. But before we get to our top 5, I'm gonna first ask Panazzo if she has any runner-ups, the movies that almost made the top 5 but just didn't because of one reason or another.
So I couldn't put my top 5 ultimate favorite zombie movies on here. I tried to keep them as underrated as possible, but some of the other ones that I've come up with that are just fantastic movies to watch because they are so much fun would be stuff like Life After Beth, which is an early Aubrey Plaza film where she dies and haunts her ex-boyfriend, I guess, or postmortem boyfriend. You've got like Paranorman, which is a great kids movie, which is super spooky.
I agree with that one, yes.
I kind of consider Pet Sematary a zombie movie because the kid and the animals are all resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can really consider it a zombie movie or something because they don't eat them. They're just wrong.
You don't have to eat them to be zombie movies. I think that's a great one to add.
And then Zombievers is always a favorite.
I'm laughing because Zombievers is actually number 4 on my list. So we are already getting into something that crosses over because I absolutely love Zombievers.
It's so much fun.
It was so damn hilarious. I went in not knowing what this movie was about at all. I just said, Zombievers. I love zombie movies. What the hell? I'll give it a try. The movie was hilarious, and the special effects were pretty damn good, and I just could not stop laughing watching this movie. So that was my number 4 on my list.
Speaking of special effects, I had some others that I really appreciated. I don't know if you could really count them as zombie movies. I think they're more infection movies. But you've got like Slither, Splinter, and The Crazies, which I think all came out around the same time. All great movies, but I don't think you can count them as zombies.
I think they are infected. And by the way, everyone, we're kind of trying to stay away from as many infected movies as possible because there are just so many infected / zombie movies out there that we're kind of sticking to our traditional dead people zombie movies, and they don't have to eat people. There are plenty of zombie movies out there where they don't eat people. Plus there's, the fast zombie movies now, and of course the zombie movies that actually talk, like in Return of the Living Dead. But was that all for your runner-up?
Yeah, those were all runner-ups. I didn't realize how many zombie movies I actually enjoyed because I don't think about them as a genre. It's all horror, and it all just kind of fills the space. So there were some of them on my list that, like, I looked up a master list of zombie movies, and I was like, oh yeah, I have seen a ton of zombie movies.
So some of the movies on my list, so everyone knows, is one of my favorites is one that was actually filmed here in Georgia called Dance of the Dead. Now, I'm not promoting this because I had anything to do with it, because I absolutely had nothing to do with this movie. I just thought this was one of the better films that were produced that came out of filmmakers in Georgia that actually got a big release. I'm always down for a teenage zombie film that takes place during the prom, I believe. So I'm always down for that type of stuff, and I thought it was fun. That's on my list. I don't think enough people give it enough love, so I'm hoping people will now. My next one would be Dead Heat. I absolutely love this movie from 1988. I grew up watching this movie a billion times with Treat Williams and Joe Piscopo, two people I absolutely loved in the 80s. And this movie about a cop who gets who dies and then resurrected and is slowly it deteriorates throughout the movie is just hilarious. And the least said about the scene in the little meat market, the better, because it is a joy to watch undead animals come back to life and just give our main star something to fight with. Another one I had was Automaton Transfusion. For some reason, this movie, the first movie is not nearly as good as the second one, but they're both balls to the walls crazy from beginning to end. And since they're kind of like that low budget movie, you just have to go with the flow. So if you like that low budget, do it yourself type of vibe, you're gonna like this movie. But if you don't, then you might look at it as one of the worst movies you've ever seen. That being said, they have a trilogy of these movies, of which I've seen the first two only. I still have yet to see the third one. Maybe we'll talk about that on a future show. So I'm hoping to get around to watching the third one. But Automaton Transfusion is another one. And my last runner-up is Blood Quantum, which just recently came out that not that long ago, in which Native Americans are completely immune to the zombie plague that's going on. I thought the political message in that was amazing for a zombie film, and I thought what they did with it was really well done. That being said, I know that one is actually a more polarizing film, which is why I don't think a lot of people have seen it. But I'm pretty sure it's out. I think I saw it on Shudder originally, but who knows where it is now. But I hope more people give Blood Quantum a little love. All right, so to start off our list, I'm going to start off with my number 5 on my list, which is It Stains the Sands Red. From 2016, my bad. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I can't remember who recommended this movie for me because it had a long title and I was like, it didn't click with me at first. But I happened to, I think, watch it on Netflix one day and was like, wow, this really is a movie about a woman who gets stranded on the road and is being chased by a slow moving zombie the whole way, and she just can't get rid of him. And they made that concept, they stretched it and made it actually engaging and interesting the whole way through. And I thought that was a really clever thing. So I actually ended up loving this movie, and I hope more people give it a little bit more attention and love because it's a really, really good movie, in my opinion. Yeah. What about you, Panazza? What's your number 5? Or you have anything to say about that?
I haven't seen nor heard of that one, but my number 5 is Warm Bodies. Because there is nothing better than a zombie movie involving romance. And what's better than a zombie who refuses to eat the love of his life? That's also kind of Romeo and Juliet based, I guess. But it's a lot of fun. It's a nice genre mix. There's some great actors in it. It's a whole lot of fun. I mean, it's young Nicholas Hoult and Teresa Palmer. But yeah, it's a cute film. It's not what you would have expected as a zombie movie, especially from a zombie's perspective, knowing like with the thoughts in his head throughout the movie of like, I really am hungry, but I can't eat this lady. And like, you don't get narration from a zombie very often. So,
if ever.
I think it makes for a very fun time.
I think what also helps that movie is the fact that the cast was like 100% buying the movie. They are so good.
Yes.
Even the supporting cast is really good in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, like John Malkovich is in it. I mean, you can't get better than that.
Yeah, the one movie I was surprised John Malkovich would ever do. That's not something I was thinking he'd ever do. Is a zombie film that's more or less geared towards the young adult audience, so to speak.
Yes, most definitely.
All right, so everyone already knows my number 4 was Zombievers. No, I don't need to say much more than that, other than the fact that there are very few movies out there in which animals carry the zombie plague and thus become cannon fodder for very funny moments. The only other one I can think of, but that's not funny, is Mulberry Street, which is also another great movie, but that's much serious in tone than Zombievers ever was.
Yes, most definitely. But my number 4 is a British post-apocalyptic film called The Girl with All the Gifts. And it is just a beautifully done movie about children trying to learn in this post-apocalyptic world, while dealing with zombies all around them. And I think it's just so well done. The cast is amazing. I kind of wish that they would have went more into this because I think it's a series. I could be
believe it is.
wrong. But there was so much more they could have done with this, and I thought it was just a sleeper hit that like almost nobody had heard about.
Yeah, I agree on that one because I almost didn't hear about that movie, and I usually hear about a lot of movies. And that was another one someone had recommended me as well. It's like The Girl with All the Gifts. What is this? It's a zombie movie. It doesn't sound. I'll give anything. I'll give anything a try. You all out there know I'll give anything a try. And so I gave this one another try. I thought this was actually really damn good. I actually enjoyed the fact that it was a post-apocalyptic film, which we don't see very often. So we probably see something closer to The Walking Dead, which seems to be very near to the future. But this film seemed like it's been a while. And they did a fantastic job with it.
Yeah, I think the nice little twist with the children is one of the best written things I have seen in a long time. Because it's one of those things that you remember afterwards, and it's like, okay, this makes a whole lot more sense. But it was just some beautiful writing, beautiful acting. It's a lot more of a drama than it is a zombie film, I want to say. But it was just very well done.
Yes. All right, moving on to my number 3 film. This is another old one, guys. So don't criticize me. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Or I think it's called. It's got another name, but that's the one I grew up hearing the name of. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. But the ideal that's a machine that sounds the I forget what it's a sound machine. I can't remember the exact function of the machine, but the sound vibrations or something kind of allows the dead to rise from the grave. That sounds like a corny aspect now, but the concept of the zombies rising from the dead or people rising from the dead that way was very innovative at the time, and it made for a very different European type film. I don't think that one is remembered nearly as much as it should, but that's because it's also a film from the 70s. The films from the 70s were, we got fast moving zombies now, and this is very slow moving, very much like the original Romero film, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. So you have to have an acquired taste for those, which I do have. So I think that's one that I wish people would watch more.
My number 3 is Little Monsters, not the Monster Under Your Bed one from like the 70s or 80s, but this one was in 2019. It started off as a Hulu like limited release on streaming, but it's Lupita Nyong'o as a like kindergarten teacher, I want to say, and her class go to a petting zoo type thing. And so it's her and a bunch of school children. One of the parents who is there is just like another chaperone. And then Josh Gad as a local TV star for kids. That this trip to the petting zoo turns into a zombie outbreak when a nearby military base accidentally releases all of their zombies. So it becomes a nice little survival flick with them trying to keep it PG for the children and explain what's going on, but not explain anything. So there's a lot of really fun and cute moments with these kids and trying to see it from their perspective and them trying to play like, okay, guys, we're going to play tag. Don't let them touch you. Let's all go hide. So it's really, really funny. I think it was really well done. Josh Gad as a TV host for children who's like a drug and sex addict is phenomenal. But there's just a lot of fun moments in this film.
So I have yet to see that one. That one's been on my list for a long time. I need to watch it now. I and to be honest with you, I hadn't heard much about it other than the trailer made it look like it was gonna be one of the funniest movies I ever seen, and then it came and went really fast. And
It
then
really did.
I completely forgot about it. So that's one I have to watch myself. So all right. Moving on to number two. We're gonna do one that since we're almost at number one, this number two is actually one of my favorite zombie films of all time because it's so falls so well crazy. It is Undead from 2003 by the Spearig brothers. Now this is their first, or I think this is their first film. They've gone on to do a lot more films, much bigger budgets, but this is a batshit crazy zombie. Have you seen this one,
I
Panazzo?
haven't.
Never seen this. Okay, you need to watch this. Undead. So in this Australian town, these meteors come and they kind of overrun the small little town, but it changes people and makes them into undead, ravenous people. And so there is this one group of survivors who are just trying to survive as all these zombies are overtaking everything. And of course, you have to have that one character that's that badass character, that Australian who could just do anything, and it makes for a lot of very funny moments in the movie. And the thing is, it's not just a horror movie. By the time you get to the third act, you realize it's also a sci-fi movie. Now, I'm not going to reveal any of those aspects to you if you haven't seen the movie, but by the time you get to the third act, it goes batshit crazy, and there are some sci-fi elements that just turns your whole idea of what a zombie movie can be upside down. So that's why that was my number two film. I always I say anybody who wants to watch something different, the Spearig brothers did that with zombie movies, and if you're a lot of people may be more familiar with their film Daybreakers with Ethan Hawke, where they did a completely different thing with vampire movies. And then of course I think they did one of the Saw movies, and they also did Winchester, which I thought was an okay movie. They were trying to get into studio stuff then when they did Winchester. It's okay, it's not bad, but it's nothing like what they did in Undead or Daybreakers. So now my number two is Undead. You should definitely go check it out if you have not seen it yet.
My number two is probably one of my favorite movies in general of all time, just because of how widespread it is and how well done it is. So this is a 2017 Japanese zombie film called One Cut of the Dead. And I absolutely love it. There are three distinct separate parts to this movie, all very low budget, all very well done. The first section of the movie is about them actually making a low budget film that then gets infiltrated by zombies. Really well done. The second part is a flashback to these characters, so you learn more about them, and I'll leave the third part a surprise, but it is so much fun. It is so well done, and it's so creative for a new zombie flick.
You know what? I saw that for the first time last year because someone else recommended to me, also on Shudder. Shudder has so much great stuff.
They really do.
I'm not creating any ads for Shudder, but damn it, if Shudder doesn't have some great films that you just don't think about exist out there in the variety. I saw this on there on a whim because someone told me, yeah, so there's One Cut for the Dead. It's a strange little zombie comedy. You'll like it, Kevin, because you like zombie movies. I was like, yeah, I ain't never heard of that one. I don't know about that. And of course, I watched it, and I'm laughing my ass off. Now, I will have to say beforehand that at first it reminded me a lot of George Romero's Diary of the Dead. That's about all it's going to remind you of. They did, and as much as I love Romero's films, I have to say they took the concept and made it much better. One Cut of the Dead is like, I can't even describe it. You just, like you say, you have to watch it. It just turns your expectations on a movie around like 3 or 4 times.
It really is. It's so brilliantly done. The zombie stuff and the gore is fantastic. I think I found it from also on Shudder, but it was one of those like best horror movies you haven't heard of this year that was on Shudder that was released. And I was like, yeah, no shit, this is amazing. It is definitely one that I think about every once in a while just because of how brilliant it is. The acting is so good, and I'm really interested for these filmmakers to do something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if this was their like first wide film festival, and they made 30.5 million worldwide on this.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, they made a lot. It was a budget of like $25,000. So it's exploded. I don't know many people who've actually seen it though. Like I said, a lot of horror people haven't seen it. I don't know who watched it, but good for them because it's great.
Word of mouth, I guarantee you, word of mouth for this film, because like I said, that's the only reason why I knew about it. And I usually find out about zombie films pretty early compared to other people, because that's why I'm always looking for a new zombie film. I love zombie movies. I'll keep watching them no matter how bad they are, how low budget they are. And One Cut of the Dead is definitely a low budget movie. And even though you might know it's a low budget movie, that budget's all on the screen.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of talent.
There's a lot of talent. The way they move the camera around, the cinematography for that, you think, how did they get all that gore in there without, cutting away and stuff? I'm like, dude, it's absolutely great. I agree. All right. So getting to my number one film, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of slack for this one because there's a lot of people who probably really hate this movie, but I absolutely found this movie to be every time I watch it, I have a joy watching it. So don't hate me, people, for loving this movie. But it's Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things from 1972. I get a lot of slack for this movie, for me loving this movie. I don't know why. I just remember loving this the first time I saw this movie because it was recommended to me back when I was in middle school. So it was a long time ago. I got recommended to this because everyone knows I love zombie movies. It says, yeah, Kevin, you should probably watch this movie called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. And I'm thinking, what does that got to do with zombies? Children playing with dead things? I don't know. That could be them playing with dead flowers or some shit. But everyone knows that it takes a long time to get to the zombie aspects of this movie. Like, it's probably 2/3 of the way over before you see the first zombie. But I just like the way it was written. I like the way it was written, how all the characters come about. I like the way that their interaction with one another and how it gets to the last element of the film when the corpse that these guys have been carrying around in the house finally awakens, and all the other corpses on the island awaken as well. I find that a very interesting concept. You got to know all these people first before they all ended up dying. That being said, that movie has always been endeared me to the filmmakers, and I've kind of like, this is just a fun movie for me. I could put this in at any time and watch it and just put a smile on my face. So I don't know about anybody else, but I'm probably the only person like that. I don't know. Panazzo, have you seen this one?
Not yet. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow though.
That's right. We will be featuring an episode during this whole month, Zombie Appreciation Month, on Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. And hopefully Panazzo won't fall asleep watching it. I know a lot of people have, but I love this movie. So, okay. Panazzo, what's your number one?
So I first want to see if you can guess what my all-time favorite underrated zombie movie is, Kevin.
Underrated is a lot harder to figure out than it is one that everyone loves, because underrated, I didn't even know you like zombie movies.
I didn't either until I started making the list and realized I had like 30 movies on here. But I'm going to take everybody back to the 90s, or especially when they were kids. I know as a 90s kid myself, I grew up watching like Courage the Cowardly Dog and reading Goosebumps and watching Goosebumps, and it was like my gateway drug to the world of horror. But there was one absolute specialty of a cartoon that jumped out at me at a young age, and that would be ScoobyDoo.
ScoobyDoo on Zombie Island?
It is indeed. It is one of the most game-changing Scooby-Doo movies of all time because it was actually fantastical. There actually were monsters. It was not a guy in a mask. But Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is one that we still go back and rewatch constantly. We play the soundtrack because it was jamming. I mean, the voice cast on it is great because it's some of the original actors for like early 90s, late 80s. And as a kid, seeing this, you're like, yeah, zombies are cool. I mean, there's also werecats, but like the whole movie is just phenomenal. And it is a pure horror movie for children that works just as well as, like I said earlier, like Paranorman for the kids in the 2000s. I just absolutely adore this movie.
I agree with you. I thought it was absolutely fantastic too, and I was completely shocked that the monsters were not people in the costumes. I thought that was a game changer. I really did. I agree with you. I did. I wouldn't have expected that to be your number one because I keep forgetting about that one. I always
I
forget about that one.
love ScoobyDoo so much. Like all-time favorite show of all time. But yeah, no, I absolutely love that like you do get there are real monsters, but this time your expectations are deceived because the zombies are not the bad guys. They are actually trying to help them. So I absolutely love it.
Yeah, yeah. Same here. So, there you have it, everybody. You have both of our top five underrated zombie films. Is there any other films you would like to mention for everyone listening, Panazzo?
No, I think I went through most of them with the other ones that we started with, but yeah, I don't want to get too far into my list because then it turns into my top list.
And that we will save for another day. Uh, I don't have any more to add to that list either, because I, like you, am saving some of my best ones for my all time favorite list, which we're gonna be getting to too. But not tonight. You'll have to listen for another episode for that, everybody, to listen to our top zombie movies of all time. But that's what this month is for. It's our Zombie Appreciation Month. We hope that you will join us for more episodes this month. We also hope that you will seek out some of the movies we've been discussing because there are actually some I have not seen yet either that Panazzo has mentioned, and I need to put them on my own list. With that, I want to thank you, Panazzo, for joining me for this conversation in horror and this experiment with doing top five or top 10 lists of things. We hope to keep doing these in the future. Check out some of our past episodes, and we hope you will subscribe to them. And remember, this is Zombie Appreciation Month. Go out there and watch some zombie movies. Get into the mood, get into the atmosphere, and by all means, don't just watch Warm Bodies or Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. There's also Undead, and there's so many of them I can't even name.
Kevin's trying to say watch real zombie movies, not just the funny ones that I'd like to watch.
I absolutely am. Thank you so much for joining us on Conversations on Horror. Have a pleasant day. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, produced by Kevin L. Powers, executive produced by Kelly A. Inoka, and originally filmed via Zoom technology. Conversations in Horror is hosted by Kevin L. Powers and co-hosted by various horror film lovers and filmmakers. To learn more about Mr. Powers, please make sure to check out his Patreon page and other social media platforms. Conversations in Horror is copyright 2024 Broken Lighthouse Pictures production.